Southern Palladium is a natural resources business advancing towards production. It's 70% owned Bengwenyama Platinum Group Metals project in the Bushveld complex of South Africa. Bengwenyama hosts a resource base containing more than 40 million ounces of PGEs, including a high content in metals that are critical to the world's clean energy transition, namely platinum, palladium and rhodium. Ahead of appearing at the Sydney Mining Club, Southern Palladium's Executive Chairman Roger Baxter joins me to discuss progress at Bengwenyama. Roger, welcome to the Stock Network.
Great to be here. Thank you, Lel.
Pleasure. Now, can you start by telling us why platinum group metals are really strategically important to the global economy, and also what makes Bengwenyama so significant?
Lel, thanks very much. PGMs, platinum group metals, some people call them PGEs, platinum group elements, different way of looking at it, basically made up of 6 different metals and dominated by platinum, palladium and rhodium being the top 3, but obviously some minor PGMs which are also quite important at a global level. PGMs have been declared as critical minerals by more than 8 of the world's largest economies. And just to mention a few, the US, China, the EU, the UK, Canada, Australia, India, as a few examples. Why have they declared PGMs or PGEs as critical? Because they are absolutely vital, not only to making sure that current emission standards are met from a vehicle emissions perspective, but also because of their significant future role in industrial processes and in the hydrogen economy space. So very interesting to see that when you put all the numbers together, PGMs are critical both now in terms of normal applications as well as into the future. And just one quick point, if I may, to say, if you just look at a country like Australia, 99% of Australia's vehicle fleet is made up of ICE or hybrid vehicles or diesel vehicles. Those have all got catalytic converters in them, made up of either platinum, palladium or rhodium. Australia has some of the cleanest cities in the world if you look at the air quality index. And effectively, PGEs, platinum group metals, have played a critical role in cleaning the NOx and SOx gases and the particulate soot out of the diesel vehicles. Help really cleaning that for most countries around the world. But Australia is a good example of it.
Yes, absolutely. And, onto Bengwenyama, you recently unveiled results from an optimized pre-feasibility study evaluating a staged mining operation. What were some of the highlights and how are your next steps on the road to development?
Lel, a fantastic question. I mean, we have a project here which is a genuine tier 1 asset, low cost, high grade, close to surface, which when it is producing, will be producing 400,000 ounces of PGMs on an annual basis, which is a very big number. It puts us pretty much in line as much of our comparators to the north and south of us in the project in South Africa. The underlying asset itself, the Bengwenyama asset, is owned 70% by Southern Palladium, which is the listed entity both on the Johannesburg Securities Exchange as well as on the ASX. Whereas the community, the Bengwenyama community, through their special purpose vehicle called Neuronox Investments, owns 30% in the project, as well as an 8% equity stake in Southern Palladium itself. In terms of our optimized PFS, what's the critical points that came out of it is that we've reduced the funding requirement, the peak funding requirement, by 38% to 279 million US through a staged development process. So we're doing what I call is a la Aussie, the Australian way of doing projects, do it through a staged development process. Stage 1 is basically half the size of stage 1 and 2 combined. It's economic in its own right with an IRR of over 22% in stage 1. When you include stage 2, it takes it up to over 28%. Both are, stage 1 and stage 2 are located in the lowest cost quartile of the cost curve from an all-in sustaining cost perspective. Our peak funding requirement, as I mentioned, has fallen considerably down to 279 million, which is made up of about 230 million in capex and about 50 million in OPEX, because you need the OPEX to be able to get the plant and to get the mine and everything started. And then if you look at some of the key metrics coming out of it, stage one is 100,000 tons of ore being mined per month and processed per month, generating 200,000 ounces of platinum group metals. When you include stage two, you then take it up to basically 200,000 tons per month of ore, and then producing obviously 400,000 ounces of PGMs. So in context, much easier to fund, from a peak funding requirement perspective. We also have the option of using third-party plant to concentrate in the area. And we do have a number of companies that we are already in discussions with where it would obviate the need for building a plant in the short term. And that would halve that total peak funding requirement again to about 140 to 150 million US, which again is even more fundable and would give us access to cash flows very quickly. We would be accessing ore at 50 to 60 meters, so literally stage one is early access to a sizable PGM deposit. It's shallow compared to a number of the mines in the area that are operating at depths of up to 1 kilometer deep. So at 50 to 60 meters, the actual ore strata will be at approximately 80 meters. The depth of the entire project at the deepest point is about 500 meters, which again is very shallow from a PGE perspective. And so, yes, we are really developing each of the next stages. We're in the DFS work right at the moment. We have some drilling on site going on. Obviously, we do have a 40 million ounce inferred and indicated, and a 6 million ounce reserve, of which 2.3 million ounces is actually measured. We're not doing much to add on to that. We're just doing some further met and geotech drilling at the moment, and some hydrogeotech drilling, which is related to the exact location of both the box cut and then obviously in the southern decline, which is the first stage, and then also in terms of the tailing storage facility. So we're definitely transitioning to a development company away from an exploration company, and lots of work being done in terms of finalizing the project execution plan, on scaling up from a capacity perspective, from a project manager perspective and others to be able to execute the project properly. And obviously lots of discussions going on with financiers, both at the debt level, at a streaming level. And by the way, we do have a very significant chrome stream that comes out of the project. 350,000 tons of high-grade chrome are produced when stage one and stage two are working together. It's basically spiraled out in the plant right up front, so it's a great streaming opportunity, and we're exploring options there at the same time, which will help us to expedite the development process. Most immediate short-term issue is waiting for our mining right, but I can jump on that in a moment or two.
Well, excellent. I really appreciate the update, and it's been excellent to learn about Southern Palladium. I will be learning more when you appear at Sydney Mining Club.
Lel, thank you for that opportunity. And, I guess a lot of people think that we're a palladium producer. We're actually a PGM producer. So we will ultimately, when the project is running at stage one and stage two combined, be producing 400,000 ounces of PGMs, including 150,000 ounces of platinum, 150,000 ounces of palladium, 50,000 ounces of rhodium, rhodium being our biggest revenue earner because rhodium prices are sitting at just below $7,000 an ounce at the moment. But what's nice at the moment is to have the tailwind of a PGM market, which has been very supportive. And in fact, the best performing precious metals in 2025 so far is not gold. It's actually platinum. And interestingly enough, ruthenium, which has nearly doubled in price, and rhodium's also up quite nicely. So PGMs are definitely an interesting area to look at, and I'll be explaining a little bit more about why these metals are now really starting to perform from a pricing point of view, and that tailwind is really excellent for a project like Southern Palladium.
Excellent. Well, I will see you at Sydney Mining Club.
Look forward to it, Lel. Thank you.